I hope that when this program comes back on the air in mid-July that you'll still be here.
Yes, well, I do hope very much, because I want to do a visit, you know, in Spreakit.
Oh, you've got a little trip planned?
Yes, yes.
Where are you going to go?
Well, I want to go to your Ellismead or Grotthersmere, Furthersmere, whatever that fine mere is which upload out of the Lake Vintry country, the Lake District, I think.
Oh, the Lake District, yes.
District.
You're going there, are you?
Yeah.
And how are you going to do that? By car?
No, I've got my through-wheel bicycloader with small power unit engine, Splody type of engine. That will take us up.
Yes.
My wife's not here, unfortunately. I left her in Missilly, so the sidecar will be empty, and we'll take the victuals and the, pardon, very fine eatings that we shall be taking up.
Yes. Well, this sounds... How long are you going to spend?
Well, I hope to have 6 weeks for the visit. You see, I can
Have you
imagine...
any preconceived ideas of what this is going to be like?
Yes, I'm afraid so, and I hope no disappointment suffers that of the mind, because I can imagine the Wordsworth, where he did that fine trittly-how in the maud of that, and saw the shimmery of the fluttery gold daffodils that did come across there. All flutterone, as you know, and pensy couchy lied.
All flutterone, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
When Jocular Moon, I think, was afraid. In Jocular Moon, which couchy lied, and suffers further grurts as fired, the daffodils all fly. I just first go son of boy. It's not very much memory deep down.
Mm-hmm. And how long are you going to spend in that part of the world?
About 6 weeks, I hope.
Oh, you'll be there the whole time?
Yes, all the time. Yeah. I want to visit also the craggy quarry type of edge, fold, or fern which Bablo Pebloed of the little tribulets.
It seems a pity you're traveling alone. I'm afraid you'll be lonely. Or do you make friends quickly?
Yes. Oh, yes. One has one's deep introspects of thought, and you can animate to your various friends.
Winnenat, you're looking remarkably well since your stay with us in this country. Do you have any problems of diet at all?
In this country, you mean?
Yes.
Well, now, first of all, by the way, I brought my wife from Missilly, and she does a fine cookie for similar to your Yorkshire pud.
Oh, yes.
But, unfortunately, the first one was so flatted, I didn't know whether to stick it or postage stamp in post or eat it.
What caused this, do you think?
Well, I think it was too much of a roll it in with a fork beat it. You know, roll it in with a fork because you churf it up in a base load.
The actual ingredients, were they the same as you have in Missilly?
They're very much the same, except we use a small distillery of salt wort. Distillery of salt wort before we churf it up in our deep greed of basil, you know.
And how about your very favourite dish? Are you able to have that in London? Or?
No, on account of the short life of the clobbers. Now, clobbers is that which in a meringue you fit it across the top of a pie meringue, you see. Now, if you transit by plane or by type of shiver, you know, they don't keep. Rather like the mangold from Africa.
And there's nothing here like cloppers?
No, cloppers, the nearest is, what's that green plum that you have? Not the Victoria, but there's the other plum, type of green plum, copple plum, I suppose you call it, which we use. You have to de-stone, put them all together in serried rows of that, beat a meringue, which is the albumoddy of an egg, if you know.
Yes.
Churf these all up to a consistency and set your stove to number through. And then the heat risey half and causes a fine flame on the top.
You're fond of fruit, are you?
Oh, fruit?
Yes.
Oh, yes, fine. We walk out every time at half-past through when the Malami goes first and pluck a straight new off the tree.
Is this here, you mean, or in Missilly?
Oh, no, Missilly.
Yes, you don't do it here?
We can't do it here. All I've managed to find out here is a bilberry, a loganberry, which I think... Loganberry, do you know?
Yes, I do.
And blackberry, which, of course, carry their small fungus if you catch them early enough. And, of course, there is the hybrid sort of blackberry flayed, which is for making wine, too.
Yes. How about the English habit of drinking tea? Have you succumbed to that?
Yes, I have. My wife's not too keen at the mode, but what we do is set our kettle boilie, you know, until it just before that boil load. I watched somebody on your televiz do this, and then we churf quickly 1, 2, 3 and spoon straight in.
Yes.
Well, you say 1 for the pogger.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, we have 2 for the pogger, which means there's a dividing most between the 2 people, or 3 if drink it.
Yes. What about other types of beverages, perhaps a little more interesting?
Oh, well, we have the Evervessie wine. Evervessie wine.
This is in Missilly.
Yeah, would you like me to spell it?
Yes.
Yeah, Effervessie wine.
Oh, yes.
And that's Metzoff in terms, I know, but it sometimes makes things clearer.
Do you find anything here comparable?
No, except the nearest approach it we found was an ordinary suburban family who cut it, sliced it in half for those lumps of turnip and that, and sprinkled with a little yeasting. Yeasting, I think, is that the bakers obtain for about 3 steps a pow.
You are managing to get along quite well, then, with an English diet.
Yes, occasional burp load between, but we take the little powders, which, it's a small noise, it's away.
Yes.
Pleasant.
Yes, well, I think you've become very adaptable indeed.
A lovely climb.
Mr. Unwin, I'd be interested in knowing what you think of architecture in this country. What sort of a building are you living in here in London, for instance?
Well, a Georgian facade. I don't know if it's artificial. I haven't had a chance to go into, but it really has deep character, and the fine furniture and the floor slightly slanty on account of thick oak and woody that it's made of. Lintel Georgian, and of course the plotty windows that you sometimes have with a proud piece of glass in the mid.
Is this something that you have considerable knowledge?
Well, we've done the research.
Architecture?
Architecture. We've done the research on account of our own Roman villas, where those foundations, deep 6 foot and fathom, they laboured in the early days of the Roman visit to our island, or perhaps were there before. I think
that's the sort of house that you've lived in Mistley.
Yes.
Roman villa type.
We call it the craggy type house, which is in relation to the craggy type of mountains there before, where Ithaca, where Ulysses came from a long time.
Is it rather spread out all on one floor, or does it go up and down? Sort of?
Well, there are 2 schools of thought, and there's a deep thing in the Assembly, the House of Legislative Assembly there, about building and have a skyscraper moonraker type of building, which is inspired on account of the Chicago and the New Yorkie scrapers of that place of Long Island. You haven't many, have you?
Quite a few.
Have you? I've seen the blocky flatters there, where they lift up at a very short gnome.
Does this interest you as a way of living?
Well, this thing, you see, I'd like to sum it in a couplet, if I may, for that.
Yes, indeed.
Well, where the building rises in half to the sky, nobody wears that foot out wime. What I mean is the climbing up as far as the steps are concerned, you see. I mean, after all, there's many a shorn off foot which is worn down to your upper toe neighbours, climbing all those steffers. I don't think the people will like it,
Yes. What sort of neighbours have you here? Are they pleasant?
Here? Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Every now and then there's talking over the fence and of a gossiper for the dale. My wife has a chinwaggy, I think is the nearest approach to your idiomatic talk-it gossip hold across the fencing.
What do you think about public buildings, libraries and that sort
You know
of
many
thing?
public houses where stand up and drink it?
No, I didn't mean that exactly, but what do you think of them now?
Well, the atmosphere of that bard, to me, is a real summit and a half of a cross-section of the British way of life,
You approve?
Oh, yes, because the brood it and hop type manifests itself in the wonderful expression on the face load of the people congenially talk and drink it and pass the time of day and tell the short story.
Does this sort of thing happen in Mistley?
No, not quite the same. I wish it would. I'd like to take a mod load of some of your pubby, like the Horse and Gram Pit. I've seen one, and the Cousin and Dog, names of famous pubs, dangling up there on the signpost.
You must be having a very interesting trip.
Oh, it's a fasty move, very ricochet from place to place, all the time.
Thank you. I would like to ask you more about animal life in Mistley. Do you have many wild animals?
Yes, quite a few, and some of them, I think, were inherited and find their way across long before the Mediterranean became that centre of the earthly sea, and gradually developed. Would you like to hear Thorman?
Yes, indeed, yes.
Well, we have a Pegasole, which is the flying horse type.
The Pegasole?
Pegasole, the Pegasus flying with a horse and the wings out stretchy, which, of course, we call the Pegasus griffey. Now, a griffon, as you know, was the early type of ugly face of sawn-off shotgold type of army boot face animal. But this, you see, has that deep concept in Greek mythology which came in through, long before Aristophanes did his Inquisit Symposium for Plato.
And this animal moves very quickly, does it?
Oh, it does. Can I give you an imitation of the sound?
Yes, indeed.
Light and hobe.
And it's gone.
It's gone. Yeah. Oh, like a Willy Whispers.
Can they be captured or
no,
shot down?
Only by kind. By kindness in the hearters, that is, the heartstrings of the human being see this. It emanates telepathic thoughts to the animal, and it comes just like a beggy.
What else do you have? Perhaps a little more simple.
Well, we have our a satire which let's not get a Metzoff insofar as Pegasus for this satire. You probably know where Beethoven inspirates for his Pastoral Symphony, do you?
I don't think I do.
Oh, well, there was this great colour scheme and scene how with the medieval forest, and there was the Trittly How with the horn blown where Bacchus and the wine trickled forth from his ear-shaped horn. Beautiful.
I see, and this has some relation to this animal you're speaking.
Yes, because, and that's why the person who made this beautiful film with the incidental for the music of Beethoven's Inspire on Waking Thorpus in his early modes, you know, da-dum-dum-ta-rum-dum-ta, Krötel, Thundermold of Musée, and the connection with this animal manifests itself on the expression of the face. Incidentally, we've got one in our museum which gives that smirk it or grin hold every time we pass the door.
It actually grins.
Oh, yes. Mind you, it's a fixture on its face, and part of the humour is in the mind of the viewer. But there it is, and it is. We all do a chuckload as we walk in through our museum.
Do you have anything sort of ordinary, like dogs and cats?
Well, we have a few quadrupines. A quadrupine, are you interested in quadrupine as a terminology for Metzoff?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But,
why do you say pine?
Quadrupine, well, it's got the porcupine quillets on its back grove, you see. And many a hand stroke the wrong way has caused a blister on the path of that. Oh, many suffering, and of course very painful, and done it in half as a matron in the surgery. Oh,
do you have any game, as we know it, that is things that are good to shoot?
Yes, we have a half-animal birdie grouse shooter. Half an animo-grousey bird shooter, which comes in the fall or autumnal, where we gather and huff there with our 12 bore-off shot gold guns and fire into the early there, and they rise up as one burn.
Have you any particular favourite animal of your own?
Well, there's a Pettifield and Mousey that we have. Pettifield and Mousey. Petty the small, Fielded and Mouse is rather like yours that balances on a hybrid of corn, you know. And this allows itself, like your ordinary white mice, if you have a domesticated mousing, no smell. No smell. You can lie on your ordinary sofa settee, sit up and beg and smile, tune, as it looks at you.
You have one or two of these as pets, have you?
Yes, oh yes, and they all come to the call. There's an affinity between nature of the animal and the human being of Missily.
What sort of a call do you make?
Well, it's a minor tone of a semitone tone, and it rings this small sort of organic bell in the ear of the little mouse loader.
Thank you very much.